Once again, we welcome you to the program Know Yourself, your exciting, entertaining, and educative program that comes your way to help build your relationship and give you information generally to life. Today, we bring you yet another exciting edition of the topic How to Rekindle the Passion in Your Relationship. I believe most relationships start well, but within some few years of existence, the spark goes away only to where God knows. Like any real life experience, love must be nurtured and groomed. It should not be encouraged to be static. And so once you are in relationship, no matter the length of time, your focus is to groom. Your focus is to find ways and means to get it groomed all the time. What most people fail to recognize is the fact that acceptance and appreciation go hand in hand. When loving, it is important not just to focus on the negatives. And so this evening, we're going to share with you some exciting things that you can do to bring back and then to rekindle that passion you once had in your relationship. And the first thing we need to take note of is that we need to grow the love in our relationship and in our marriages. And to grow your love in marriage, you have to participate in the doing of love. And if the quickest way to grow a love is gratitude, then the reverse is also true. That the quickest way to kill a love is to fail to appreciate. Love is both a feeling and an action. As a feeling, if you want to look at it from that angle, it is often mysterious. Why you love the woman someone else divorced? It's a mystery. And why you love a sweet, goofy guy your best friend would never even imagine and consider dating is equally unknowable. But the action of love, which I call the doing of love, is not mysterious at all. The miracle is that as we perform the action of love, the feeling of love, which may or may not include falling in love, blossoms. This is true whether you are in love for the first time or you have settled into an established couple. The doing of love brings about the feeling of love. I believe one thing that is engaging your attention now is that what is this doing of love or action of love? One is that you have to spend time with someone you claim you love. So when you engage, when you set out to love someone, you spend time with such an individual, getting to know them as they are, and then you do this in a spirit of curiosity and acceptance. You recognize they may do things or act in ways unfamiliar to you, but you take these differences as interesting, not as good, bad, right, or wrong. And so, in the doing of love, one way of demonstrating it is to spend time, and I may even say quality time, with the one that you love. Time for the two of you. You engage in the spirit of trying to know him or her, devoid of all distractions. That is one of the signs or ways of engaging you in the doing of love. Then, two, you need to be concerned about your partner's well-being. And so the second to discuss or to consider when we are looking at the doing of love is to be concerned about the well-being of your lover. You are concerned about the person's well-being. You care about whether or not they are happy or well taken care of. And you take active measures to support their well-being. Then, number three, as much as possible, you also need to show appreciation. You appreciate them. Say good things about them. Recognize the things that they do for you. You value the person you have chosen to love. you are grateful for all they are and do, and you let them know it, from kind words and affectionate kisses to bragging loudly about their qualities to friends and family. And doing so, you will be exhibiting the doing of love. And so I have shared with you 3 things: spending time together, 2, you need to be concerned about your partner's well-being, and then 3, you need to show appreciation to your lover. Indeed, one scholar by name William James once stated that the greatest need of a person is the need for the person to feel, any individual to feel appreciated. So try and then appreciate your lover. Now, as we try to bring and rekindle the passion in our marriages and relationships, we also need to avoid human tendency. And what are they? Our tendency, all too often as couples, is to get caught up in the inevitable problems and then difficulties of the relationship, and to stay stuck there, endlessly blaming, criticizing, and then fault-finding. We ignore what's going right, and the love dies. And the more you dwell on your unhappiness, the more flaws you find in your mates, until you lose your love of him or her entirely. In an attempt to dwell on these little mistakes of your partner, focus on their shortcomings, you end up forgetting that this is the same person who sat by your bedside. I believe sometimes you are in difficulty. The same person who sat by your bedside when you were sick for days and even at times for months, who loves you and your body even when you hate it, and then who focus righteously and on your disappointment and forget to appreciate, to be grateful for what is good. After a while, you don't see anything to be grateful for, and the love dies. How sad. And so the tendency for us to blame each other, to criticize each other as human beings, as far as possible, once we are trying to bring to rekindle the passion in our relationship, we need to avoid. Again, we need to get our passion sustained. And I will define passion loosely to mean, in this context, a deep, abiding love for a person that acts like an all-consuming fire that burns within you as an individual. So you get that sustained at all costs. Whatever way that you find it possible, you need to do that. According to experts, the most common reason couples lose their passion for each other and stop being sexually intimate is a pursuer distancer pattern that develops over time. And so one authority by name Dr. Sue Johnson identifies a pattern of demand withdrawal as the protests, and says it is one of the 3 demon dialogues. That authority, Dr. Johnson explains that when one partner becomes critical and aggressive, the other often becomes defensive and distant. So in that context, it was found out through research that thousands of couples discovered partners that get stuck in this pattern in the first few years of marriage. And in that research, it was also observed that those caught up in this syndrome have more than an 80% chance of divorcing in the first 4 or 5 years of marriage. And so we need to get rid of that. Then again, we need to foster emotional intimacy if indeed we want to rekindle the passion in our relationship. A good sexual relationship is built on emotional intimacy and closeness. In other words, if you are hoping to improve your physical relationship, you need to first work on your emotional connection Focus on meeting your partner's needs and communicating your own needs in a loving, respecting way. Then again, we need to also rekindle sexual chemistry. If indeed we want to get our passion rekindled, we need to rekindle sexual chemistry. During the early phase of marriage, many couples barely come up for air due to the excitement and euphoria of falling in love. Unfortunately, this blissful state doesn't last forever. Scientists have discovered that oxytocin, and that is a bonding hormone within our system, released during the initial stage of infatuation, causes couples to feel euphoric and turned on by physical touch. It actually works like a drug, giving us immediate rewards that bind us to our lover. Holding hands, hugs, and tender touch are great ways to affirm your love for your partner. Physical affection sets the stage for sexual touch that is focused on pleasure. Sex therapist and educator, also by name Dr. Michael Stisma, recommends that you set a goal of doubling the length of time you kiss if you did want to bring the passion back in your relationship. Hug and use sensual touch if you want to improve your marriage. A sex therapist once also said most sexual concerns stem from an interpersonal struggle in the marriage. So stop being at each other's throats and improve on your physical touch. And I'm sure, having considered all this, at the end of the day, our marriages, our relationship will get sparked up and we enjoy for the rest of our lives. We thank you so much for your time. As we've always said, we entertain your comments so we can serve you better. If you have any question, you can also bring it up. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.